It's a weekend. There's going to be some races on television. One of them is going to be NASCAR. Rubbin is racing, which is why we have our incredible NASCAR panel here to help us out. So it's Pearce, Dietrich, it's Geoff, Ulrich. And let's update everybody here on the standings. Following last week's picks. Again, we're only counting like their picks to win this thing, how many points they
Oh
get.
my God.
This is getting out of hand. Like, I don't know if we need to handicap this, but like, Pearce, you got 336 fantasy points. You picked Ryan Blaney last week. He ended up with 63 points. Geoff, you're at 176, and Kyle Busch ended up with 44 DK fantasy points. Pearce, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable right now, right? You don't really feel necessarily any kind of threat from Geoff.
No, I think based on those points, I'm about to lap him. I still just can't get over those pictures.
I know. Don't you worry, man. We'll get you a poster.
Even when I pick Pearce's pick, which I did last week, he still beats me. So I'm out of options here. I'm just gonna have to go full. I don't know.
Hey,
I'm out of options, man.
Geoff,
I'm a dangerous man right now.
You really are. We need to get some favorite DFS and sportsbook plays. Geoff, maybe this could be your week for NASCAR's Food City Dirt Race at Bristol Motor Speedway. This thing is on a dirt track now. I'm gonna start with Pearce on this one though, Geoff, because you may learn something as well. How much does this being on dirt, Pearce, change the strategy that you will have in DFS or even betting?
Yeah, it's going to change the strategy quite a lot. And let's be clear, this is not a dirt track. Kyle Larson, who is the king of dirt racing, he couldn't hold back anymore. He let it slip yesterday that this race is a joke. It's a gimmick. They need to take the windshields out of the cars, but NASCAR refuses to do so. Therefore, the drivers can't see. And when you can't see, you drive slow. You also wreck. So random cars, just like last year, will wreck and not finish this race. So random picks will work. I'm sorry, don't be mad at me. This was NASCAR's choice. So picking random guys seems to be the strategy. And so, yeah, Geoff definitely can make a comeback this week if that's the case.
That's right, Geoff. You have to feel so good right now. This has your name written all over it.
Yeah, it really does, I guess. But this and just to add, they're doing this at night this year as well. It looks like last year there was weather things, so the track's going to be different. There's a new car, obviously, this year on the new track. So all the experience that the guys gained last year, it's basically just out the window again. So even if this does end up being like a little bit more of a dirt style race than a traditional dirt race, I don't know. It's still going to be just like its own thing. So yeah, super random. There's basically no track history you can go off of. And I don't know. I mean, as the saying goes, pick the best players, I guess, and see where the chips fall.
Okay, so going off of that, Kyle Larson back on top of the salary board. Pearce 11-2. Last week's winner, William Byron, is sitting at 10K. So one of 5 drivers north of $10,000. Is this a week? It doesn't sound like this is a week where paying up makes sense, does it?
Actually, it does kind of make sense, and Geoff's right, just pick the best drivers. This isn't really a dirt track. It's not much different than the regular concrete track, just slower. So the cars that have been fast this season should be fast again this week. William Byron has been one of the best drivers this year. He actually ran well here last year, if that means anything. He was inside the top 5. And another example of this not being a dirt race, Byron has no dirt experience, and he was one of the best drivers at this track last year. I like Kyle Larson, not because he's a dirt racer, but just because he's one of the best drivers. Now, the problem is everyone is going to play him because he has all this dirt experience, and his ownership is going to be sky high, and it's not going to give him any advantage whatsoever, and it might be a disadvantage because we've seen some of these dirt trackers try to do different things, and it usually just holds them back at this racetrack. So I'll gladly fade Larson because of his ownership.
All right, Geoff, is your strategy to fade Larson as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends kind of what contest you're playing. I think in the bigger field GPPs, I think a Kyle Larson fade probably makes sense. I mean, Pearce mentioned he kind of came out and he obviously is looking at this race the same way we're looking at it. It's just a big, hodgepodge. Anything could happen. No one really has a huge advantage or anything like that. So, with that in mind, I think that there's just so many good drivers driving well every week underneath him in price that it doesn't really make sense to eat the chalk with Kyle Larson if he is going to be chalky. And it does look like, this dirt track, connection is going to be something that actually draws people towards him. So No, I definitely like, going at least a little bit underneath him. I don't think you should go too crazy and fade like all the top players. There's definitely names in the 10K range that I think are viable. But yeah, paying up for Kyle Larson if he's going to be like the most owned play. No, I think that's a fair fade.
All right, Ulrich, so what about the value plays here this week? It sounds like, based off of your comments and Pearce's comments, maybe you can get a little weird at some of the lower salary ranges.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's a couple names. I mean, I think there's a lot of names here that pop out. I mean, one name that I found when I was doing my NASCAR research, Todd Gilliland. He's got 3 top 5s on dirt tracks. Now, we know it's not like a dirt track, and this is like truck races we're talking about, but he has had one of those top 5s at Bristol, which I guess is kind of nice. So that's one like mega cheap play that stood out. Austin Dillon is another. He's obviously had some dirt track experience. He's also just raced well though, Austin Dillon. So we like that. He didn't finish well at this event last year, but that really means nothing to me. If anything, like the fact that he's going to be coming in with a little bit more, just experience and stuff like that. That works out well. So those are kind of the 2 top values that stuck out for me. I definitely like Dillon this week. I think in betting as well, you can take advantage of him with some placing bets.
All right, Pearce, what are you doing for value plays?
Adding to that Austin Dillon pick, I will double down, and because he's running double duty. So we don't know specifically how this track's going to race based on last year. Is it dirt? Is it not dirt? But we know that whatever it is what it will be. And Dillon's going to run a truck race and a cup race. He's going to have a lot of reps going into the main race. And that's also where I'll take my value with Harrison Burton. He is also going to run the truck race. So more reps on whatever this surface is going to be helpful. And then really just anyone down towards the cheap end and starting in the back could move forward based on attrition. Because as I mentioned, the drivers have visibility issues. They're going to slide. Someone slides, you run into them. And just through attrition, these cheap guys will gain place differential points and sneak into the top 25.
All right, let's go over to the sports book. Favorite bet for this race, Pearce?
Ross Chastain plus 3,500. He was my pick in my Best Bets DK Nation article. I will stick with him. As I mentioned, it's not really a dirt race. So the drivers that have been fast this season will be fast this week. And Chastain's been good every single week. He's got a fast car. His current form is there. And the thing that I really like about him is his aggressive, borderline bully nature. The necessary mentality is going to have to be being aggressive and going for the win. Chastain does that. It's checkers or records, but if you got 3,500 odds, why not?
Geoff, what you looking at on the sports book?
Austin Dillon, top 5 plus 500. Pearce mentioned he's going to be doing the truck race as well. He's got that good experience, so I think that's just going to help getting used to the track. We also like here over at the Fantasy Grind NASCAR unit, we like Daniel Suarez plus 140 in a matchup over Chase Briscoe. I just feel like those odds on this track. Suarez led here for like 58 laps last year, so I mean that's pretty good, and he's been solid. I just feel like plus 140 in a matchup on this track at an event where like nobody has an advantage. You got to take that.
All right, here we go, guys. The moment of truth. Buckle up. Let's get your top DFS pick for this week's Food City Dirt Race at Bristol Motor Speedway. Geoff, you have nearly 200 points here to make up.
Yeah, and we're going to make up a lot of them this week with Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott also doing double duty this week. He's going to be doing the truck race. I think that's a big help. He put up a monster performance in fantasy last week. He's going to do it again for me here. I think Chase Elliott, well overdue for a win. Also kind of like him at plus 1,000 to win this race. Chase Elliott. We're going to make up some ground, some big-time ground this week, Emerson. I'm excited.
All right, Pearce. Don't be nervous.
I'll take the opposite approach. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. Last year, he nearly won this race, and he didn't prepare at all. He did absolutely nothing to get ready for this race. He was apathetic then. He'll be apathetic now. It's not a dirt race. He's just going to go out there and run his normal. I mean, it's a gimmick. It's just a bad gimmick. This is like when Undertaker decided to be a biker and he was listening to Limp Bizkit rolling around.
Yes!
Dude, you're a zombie. Just be a zombie. In Bristol, you're not a dirt track. Stop doing this.
Dude, Limp Bizkit.
Drivers hate it. Hamlin's going to go out there and just nurse this thing, get a top 5 finish, and I'll play it safe and extend my lead.